So here's how you can save up to 70% on your favorite brands. FromRebel.com has everything for your home, family, and life. From strollers to skincare at unbeatable prices. Every day, Rebel drops thousands of new products for up to 70% off. It's a constant stream of endless deals. From brands like UPPAbaby, Nuna, Baby Bjorn, Nespresso, Breville, Wilson, Dyson, Caraway, and more. Every listing is one of a kind, and the best things go first, so you have to move fast. Save big on your favorite brands. Shop now for up to 70% at FromRebel.com.
¿Quieres mejor internet? Cox Internet de 300 megas tiene las velocidades rápidas y confiables que buscas. Perfecto para streaming y gaming y trabajar desde casa. Yeah. Todo por solo $45 al mes cuando agregas Cox Mobile. Incluye equipo de Wi-Fi y garantía de precio de 2 años en tu plan. Yeah. No esperes. Cámbiate hoy a Cox. Requiere Cox Mobile Gig Unlimited. Garantía de precio no incluye impuestos y cargos. Velocidad de datos móviles se reduce después de 20 gigas al mes.
Have you ever wondered what it's like to be a real-life medium? Then this is the podcast for you. In this show, you'll learn how to open your heart to spirit, hear adventures I've experienced as an award-winning psychic medium and teacher. Plus, I'm going to give you some psychic information and insight into what the future holds for our increasingly crazy world. Tune in every Friday and get ready to connect to the other side. I'm Jen, and I'll be your guide starting right now. Hey everybody, I'm just going to take a little minute here and a pause and take a deep breath in because I've been on a little bit of a hiatus for many reasons and in many different kind of ways. And this episode, it's been a while. I can't remember. I've been about at least a month. I think I gave you a short radio call and reading maybe 2 weeks ago before I left for my vacation for Costa Rica. And I didn't post one in between there. And now we're starting over. Okay, so it's kind of like a fresh start, but not really. So I've been taking some time, and I'm just going to say what comes to my head. I'm just going to have to do this. It's going to be one of those episodes where Jen just says what comes to her mind. And I feel like, you know, sometimes you got to talk some things out. You don't realize that you're bottling things up or holding things in until someone gives you that space and that attention that you didn't even know you were requiring to feel human, for someone to just listen to you and actually listen to you. So I had that experience tonight, and I'm so grateful for that, because I can't tell you the last time, I mean, besides Chad, but you know, sometimes he doesn't understand what I'm trying to express, what's been going on with me. So I've been through this whole, you know, taking this break and feeling really heavy and feeling that I need to remove things from my schedule and things that are feeling heavy, and trying to remove those and seeing if that would help things feel lighter in the energy. But I realized they do help. Let me just backtrack a little bit. So before I left for Costa Rica, I had to cancel like pretty much my whole week. So I don't know if I think I've talked about this before on the podcast, but I've had suffered in the past, and I guess for many years, even before probably I realized it, from depression, anxiety, from mental health issues. You know, I don't know if I've talked about this before, that I've been diagnosed with bipolar issues, all these kind of things. I don't think I've talked about them openly in sort of like in this big context here, but just for a context background, what's going on here. So, and just bear with me as I sort of say what comes to my mind here. And so right before Costa Rica, I was like, I literally feel like I'm going to lose my mind. Like, I don't want to get into the energies of like, it was the full moon and Scorpio and the eclipses. I don't want to get into that, because what I'm trying to do here is be human. And that's a new concept for me. Honestly, it sounds super weird. Like, what are you, an alien? But like, I haven't been very human. And I would like to be human with you right now, because I really feel like someone asked me what my purpose was, and one of our go-tos, because we're very empathetic and very sensitive. We're sensitives and spiritually tuned into energies of all kind. You know, we always say we want to help people, but sometimes we can get caught in that trap of like, we're not helping ourselves when we do that. So it can lead to all kinds of not great outcomes. And so I was feeling like I was about to like have a breakdown, like a mental health breakdown. I got super honest with you guys. I was very depressed. I was guided from my intuition to stop using psilocybin, no more microdosing, no more plant medicine, nothing. Just like it was getting out of hand. And if I have to do one more reading, if I have to do one more mentoring session, if I had to teach one more class, it was like, the tip of the iceberg. There was no way I was mentally capable of teaching these classes, of doing these readings up until a few days before I left for I don't know how this happened. The universe planned this, or I was just in tune to this. Is like, we planned this trip to Costa Rica to get away for a week at the best time. It could not have been planned or laid out. It was at the best possible time, because if there had not been a break for me, I probably would be maybe in a hospital, or I'm just being super honest with you guys. Okay. So, and there's a whole connection to all the things I'm talking about. When did it start? But I'm going to start at the end, when I was like, I'm going to lose my marbles. I'm literally going to lose my mind if I had to do one more thing. So I feel like I disappointed a bunch of people. I had to let go of some commitments that I had previously made with other people as well to help them out. I'm like, we get so caught up in this, we have to help other people mentality, that we forget that we need to help ourselves first. And this give notion is starting to get really old with me. This always giving for free. You are a spiritual gift, so you have to give them for free. And the guilt and shame of charging money for my gifts. And it just sort of all took its toll. There was more to this than that, but everything sort of built up in a momentum, like a big snowball, and sort of punched me in my face. It was like, you got to do something quick. You've got to take some things off your plate pronto. And again, this trip was very well timed, and I wish it was longer actually. So coming back, I've been back since maybe a week when you listen to this, not even quite a week, we've been back. And if you've ever been to Costa Rica, I always tell people, if you want to go anywhere in the world and you've never been anywhere, or you have never been to Costa Rica, I highly, highly recommend that you choose that place. Even if you feel like you don't really want to go there, I would just go there, because the energy and the people, the human beings that reside there, whether they're locals or expatriates or even tourists, it's unbelievable the contrast that you are shown of how we are currently living our lives, and the way that we could, what is possible for us in a way to live our lives in a different way, according to what I'm just going to say is how we should be living. Pura vida, you've heard that, right? Pura vida, pure life means pure life. And where we live, so I live in Canada, as you know, and some of you live in the States, and some of you live in Australia, some of you live in England, which is super cool, by the way. And, we get so used to and acclimated to this stress, constant doing, constant helping people, constant feeling like we're pushing too hard and not knowing how to take a break, and guilt and shame and worry and stress, and it just frustration, and read all these things. A lot of us are just accustomed to it, and we think that's how we're supposed to live. But I'm telling you, as soon as you step off that airplane and you get into this place, this magical place, and I've been to a few places that were literally, I would describe as magic. I would describe Bali as magical. This is a different kind of magic. This is it's like someone came and took some, like the Flintstones, took some toothpicks and propped them in your eyes to keep your eyeballs open to see what life is meant to be. And even Chad, you guys know Chad. Chad is my partner, my husband, and he had never really been out of the country. And it's very difficult for him to take a break, right? He's programmed to always be busy because that's productive, and that equals whatever worthiness. And he is we need to live here. We're on the beach and he's drinking margaritas and he's drinking his Imperial. It's we got to figure out a way to retire here, because this is amazing. And this is the guy who is constantly always doing something, never sitting down. And this guy is on the beach relaxing, and I was like, wow, if this is something else. And you meet all these people. We ran into people and they were friendly and they fist bumped you, and they're like, from Georgia, and they moved there. They retired there. They sold all their things, and they moved there. And we're having conversations, and people are looking you in the eye. And then when you get back here, that's not going to be like that. It's completely different. Completely different. I'm going to go as far as say existence. It's a completely different existence, and you can't really understand or fathom conceptually what I'm talking about unless you actually experience this. So like you can't be like, oh, I know it's like to have a baby, and if you've never pushed a baby out your vagina kind of thing, like you have to experience for me to describe it to you. Or if I'm like, this is what happened in ayahuasca. If you've never done ayahuasca, you can't fathom what it feels like to do ayahuasca, right? So it's these kind of things. But it was like transformational, and I had been there before, right? And that's the only place I have been there twice in my life, and I'm like trying to create this beautiful plan to get back there as soon as possible, ASAP. And while we're there, I'm like, I would be shocked if people who live here are depressed. Like I feel like, because I went there depressed, and it took me about 3 days, and it started to lift. I could feel it lifting off my shoulders, and I was like, I bet you the people are not depressed who live here. How could you be depressed living in Costa Rica with the sun and the water, the jungle, the animals, the friendly people? How could you, the lifestyle, Pura Vida? I don't know how you could ever be depressed there, right? So it was just very eye-opening to see like how we're living our lives and how life could be, what could be created for us, right? So coming home, a little bit of adjustment. But the first day I came back, I was like, yeah, super excited to work again. The first day, we didn't get home till maybe 12 midnight, and Monday morning I worked at 8 a.m. And that was the first time I was like super excited to meet with my mentoring clients, to do readings. I had 3 readings in the morning and 1 mentoring session. And that was the first time I actually felt excited again to do those things, right? So it's not saying that I don't love my work. I do, but I stopped loving my work. I stopped loving what I did, and that is depressing, right? Like if you're listening to that and you've known me for a while, you might be depressed listening to me talk about that and be like, what? You shouldn't like her work. It was too much. So, but again, I hadn't talked about it. I couldn't really understand what I've been feeling. I didn't really say to people, I'm having a really hard, I think I did say I'm having a hard time, but I don't think people knew to the extent of what a hard time I was having. And people would say like, oh, you look really good today, which is code for like, oh, you look like shit before. Or like when I stopped using psilocybin microdosing, people are like, oh, you look very clear. And that means before I didn't look clear, So you start to get little hints about that, and not really realizing the magnitude until you can't physically, like I could not mentally work anymore. And if you think about it, the job that I do is literally in other realms. Like I'm literally like, here's what happened. Like, anyways, I just figured out today talking to this beautiful one who helped me. Someone actually listened and sat, and a professional, and she listened to me. I haven't felt heard in a very long time in that kind of way. And I realized like I'm not being human. So like also there's a couple things I realized. I'm not living my human life fully. I feel very disconnected. Like there's this meme of like a skeleton, and I forget how it goes, but it's like, oh, you look really good or something. And she's like, yeah, thanks. I'm disconnected from reality at all times. And that's like, I kept seeing it come up on my Instagram feed. I'm like, I don't really want to admit that, but it's kind of like how I feel. I feel very disconnected from myself, from the world, from my clients, from my students, from my work. Like everything just felt so disconnected, and I didn't know why, and I didn't realize that it was the word disconnection. You know how people, like, you look at people and you can tell they're not really there. So maybe I had that look, I don't know. But I realized when I was heard tonight that like I don't also really know what my purpose is anymore. What? Right? Like maybe this is a diary entry. I don't know. But I really feel like me talking about this is going to help someone, which is my mission in life, I believe. After I help myself. Like I don't have a purpose anymore. Like my dream used to be like I want to be on TV, and I still want that. But I know that if I got a TV show, I still wouldn't feel fully connected, And like so this woman asked me, when did you stop feeling the disconnect from
The Fall Line is a true crime podcast covering the coldest cases in the southeastern United States and occasionally beyond. We focus on the missing persons, the unsolved murders, and the unidentified does that don't get media attention. Empathetic and intensively researched, The Fall Line will take you on deep dives into unsolved cases that you've never heard of and make you wonder why you haven't. Find us wherever you listen to podcasts.
Your human self, right? Because I was basically living, it's one extreme or the other. I'm like superhuman. I cut myself from the spiritual realms and spiritual work, or I completely disconnect myself from my human life, like logic, which I do a lot. Not much logic in my decisions, like whatever. I just sort of fly by the seat of my pants. I feel very impulsive, these kind of things, right? So where's the disconnect? When did these become separate? When did my human self separate from my spiritual self? Like when did or another word would be like, when did my soul sort of disconnect from my body? I think that would make more sense to us to say out loud. And she was asking me, when did that happen? I'm like, I don't know. Like first I thought it was because, so I associate that question with a little bit depression, right? Like not feeling really here. So depression and sadness and not being able to shake it and not feeling fulfilled in my life anymore. And I thought it was because my son had moved out. I'm like, oh, there's the deep grief in there, right? Like he moved out again. Maybe my role as the mother was being shaken up. Maybe I didn't know who I was. I was losing my identity. All these things, right? But I realized, and I don't know what episode it is, but you're going to know what I'm talking about when I talk about the bad trip. So it goes, I think around that time, I really, really, like 2 years ago in May, I don't think I ever fully recovered from that, where if you go listen to the episode, it's called The Bad Trip, where I went to that retreat and there was those untrained, quote unquote, shamans who I overdosed and went into a psychotic episode. Like I knew I was in psychosis. Like I knew in that moment I was in psychosis, right? And I don't think I actually shared the gory details of that to the extent. I think I held back with that, but I'm not going to do that. But it was pretty bad. It was one of the darkest nights of my life. Like death was my friend that night. And thank goodness it didn't pan out that way. I guess it wasn't my time to go, right? So yeah, I hope it's not, I'm sorry this is heavy. I just want to like get this out because I really feel like this is something that is keeping me stuck and keeping me from not moving forward or like not expanding and not, moving forward in my life and not just my business. So I really feel like I really want to come out of this. I really want to come out of this with like a new, exciting, passionate Jen, and she's not here right now. It's kind of like a limbo Jen, So I really feel strongly called to share this with you. I hope you don't mind. I hope that you haven't turned this episode off yet. And if you're still listening, thank you so much. I really appreciate you listening to this because it's maybe a lot, but I just keep hearing in my head, I know this is going to help someone. This is going to help someone as it is helping me heal from things, right? So there's that. And then there's the thought process of like, do we really need to have a purpose? Do we need a purpose to feel alive? Do we need a goal? Do we need to have something that we work towards or something to look forward to? And the answer is yes, 100%. But like for me, that passion, or I would use the word spark, the spark sort of like got snuffed out. And maybe it was the bad trip. Maybe I never recovered. Maybe it was something else. I don't actually quite know, but there's just a disconnect between my soul and my human body. That's what it feels like. And if you think about it, again, going back to what I do every day, I don't think you may not understand to the depths of what I do every day, where I'm literally immersed mentally into other realms that don't exist, that are not existing to people who can see them or understand them. I'm literally like in a quantum field, or I'm in the spirit world, or I'm in the psychic realm. And maybe when I do those things, little parts of me, like of my soul, sort of like stay there and they don't all come back, which would make sense on a spiritual level. On a human level, mentally, it is very, very draining on a human body to do the work that I do, which is, again, in the back of my mind, this little voice like, why don't you charge $300 for a reading? I'm like, dude, it should be more with the, like, if you're not a medium and you're, excuse me, I'm burping because there's probably spirit here. There's like so much involved in what we do and what I do. It's just, it completely makes sense to me why this would be happening. I am hopeful it's going to resolve itself. However, when I was talking to this wonderful woman tonight, this professional, I'm like, I think I need to see a therapist. Like, I haven't had a thought. I'm not laughing about therapy. I've been in therapy many times in my past. I didn't realize how much was bottled up, and I couldn't figure out things on my own because I wasn't saying them out loud. Right? So if you're like, I don't know what's wrong with me. If you need someone to listen to you, and the person has to not be busy, or like you can tell they're very present with you and they aren't thinking about checking their phone, and they're actually listening to you very, very deeply on a soul level, like a very deep level. And that's what you need. You need to be heard. You need to be someone to listen to you, like, and then repeat back to you like a coach, repeat back to you what you've said so you can hear it out loud again, right? And then as you talk and there's questions being asked, you're like, oh my God, that's why I feel that way. And because you can't really, it's hard to do it in your mind when you're trying to process things. It's very hard to difficult to do it just in your head, or you need to say it out loud. There has to be a conversation that happens that really, really helps you integrate it and put it all together, So I highly recommend you having someone professional to talk to you, whether you have, you're burnt out, you're exhausted, mental health, you feel like all you do is help people and you don't get anything back, which is not my case. I have lovely people in my life and I'm very grateful for everyone. But there just comes a point where you just can't do it anymore. Like, I see people, like, I don't know how Chad does this, how he doesn't lose his marbles. Like, I don't know. I see people like constantly working so hard. They work so hard. They work 10 hours a day. They go home. They take care of kids and extended family members, and they work on the weekend. And they are like, I have no idea how these people are not falling over. Like, just timber, like, I can't do it anymore, lock me away for a week. Like, I just, how do you not take vacations? How do you not, oh my goodness, And also I had a thought too, like, one of the reasons why I admit this, why I always want to travel is because I need to escape. Like, trust me, I'm okay with doing the work on myself and digging in here, which I'm doing in front of you guys right now. But like, I think one of the reasons why I love to travel so much is like, that like release from the stuff, that break from the constant stuff. It's always stuff, and you're going through, you gotta work through the process. You can't ignore it. I'm telling you can't ignore this. You gotta work through it somehow. And I'm telling you that it is very difficult to do this on your own, because I did not put all these things together on my own. And yeah, just super grateful to be here and like being in limbo, which would make sense. Like, I work in limbo. I literally immerse myself in limbo, in between worlds. I'm literally, if you think about it, a medium who is the bridge between worlds. So I literally am a bridge between worlds. So there will be a disconnect if I'm always connecting the spirit world to a human, and I'm that bridge who just sort of lays there and says, okay, walk on me, and you walk on me this way. You go back and forth and communicate with each other. Wouldn't that not make sort of, not logic sense, but wouldn't that make sense? That there's a disconnect because I'm the bridge and I'm not, I'm in between worlds. I'm the person who goes in between worlds. That's literally my job. That's literally what people pay me for, is to be in between the worlds. So that would make sense. How you do one thing is how you do everything. That I would be disconnected between the worlds. I wouldn't be in one world or the other. I'd be floating between the worlds, which would explain, maybe my face not looking as happy as it should be, looking empty, not feeling fulfilled, not being super happy. Like, I was looking at reels that I had done last year, and I'm like happy and jumping around and being goofy and shaking my butt and being super silly. And now I said to this woman, I have no motivation at all to do any reels. Like, there's nothing in there. I got nothing to give because I've been giving it all out to other people and not myself, right? So I have no idea what that means. I have no idea what to do next. I'm just going to sit with this, and I'm going to sit here and just sit with that. Like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with this. I don't know if I'm supposed to put this episode out, if it's going to make you, feel blah. I was going to make you feel like, oh my God, I have no idea. I'm just wanted to share this and get this out so that, I can sort of talk it out. And then as I'm talking it out, maybe you're having little blips of, oh my gosh, oh my goodnesses, oh my gosh, holy shit moments, I would love for that to happen, but I can't control any of that. Right? So yeah, I'm excited. I guess I want to be in the moment of this happening right now. I don't want to really say, well, how can I fix this right now? Or how can I be happy? Or, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. I'm just going to keep being the me that is available to me right now. And loving this version of me that has sort of transpired or been birthed out of the death of another Jen. This isn't the first time I've gone through this. Like, there's been maybe 7 times. Maybe every year I go through this, And maybe you just don't know because I don't talk about it. This happened in Bali. This happened, I can think of 3 or 4 times in my life where I've gone through this process, but just never talked it out. It's just been like, I'll just go through it on my own here, see what happens. And then you get to see the Jen that's all, yay, and get, you know what I mean? So, like, mental health, I've talked about this. I want to talk about this. I feel like I've talked on the podcast before, but I feel like it's really important that we talk about this. Like, if you're a medium and you're a psychic, you're literally between worlds. And it's very hard to navigate being human because the spiritual world keeps telling us that we are souls having a human experience. And then that can help us disconnect as well, too. But we're fucking human and we forget that we're human. People expect more of us sometimes. I don't know why. I have no idea why people expect more of us. They have very high expectations of us. And you have to remember that we're all human, whether you're a client, a listener, a friend, a medium, a psychic, professional, anything like that, right? Like, you have to remember we're human beings. That's it. We are human fucking beings. We're humans. And in this work, you can kind of forget that. You can be like, oh, I'm spiritual, so I'm going to go float around the ethers and go astral travel at nighttime. But you got to remember, if you're missing out on your life here. So, and what I've been talking about this whole time is a fucking human experience. It's a raw fucking human experience. And if we don't do more of this, that spiritual caca is going to take over us and make us even more mentally unwell and more breakdowns and more, we got to be super honest with ourselves. I feel like honesty about how you're feeling and where you're at, instead of us posting like everything's great. Like, I've never been really good at hiding my faces, like I've never been good at pretending to be in a mood that I'm not, right? What you see is what you get. Sometimes I'll try, but like most of the time I'm like, I cannot hide the mood. It's too exhausting. Right? So see if you can give yourself permission to sort of be super honest. And maybe this podcast episode will have you wanting to talk about your feelings, or maybe I'll have you going, I think I need to talk to a therapist or a coach or, a mentor, someone who I trust, and just be really heard. Like, I used to have this issue where felt like I was never seen. Now I kind of had this thing where I felt like I wasn't heard until today. So that was a gift that I got today. And then out of that gift got me in this podcast again, right? So I think I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much for listening to my diary. Thank you so much for listening to me wanting to be human again, just be a normal fucking human. I wonder what would happen if I'm not saying I'm going to do this because I like this job. I know I'm supposed to be here. I wonder what would happen if I stopped doing readings, teaching, posting on Instagram about spiritual kind of stuff. I wonder what would happen. All right. See you next time on the Singing Medium Podcast.
The Fall Line is a true crime podcast covering the coldest cases in the southeastern United States and occasionally beyond. We focus on the missing persons, the unsolved murders, and the unidentified does that don't get media attention. Empathetic and intensively researched, The Fall Line will take you on deep dives into unsolved cases that you've never heard of and make you wonder why you haven't. Find us wherever you listen to podcasts.